So we all know Jax is the most theorized character in TDC, and with episode 9 dropping in less than a month, I went through every single theory about him that exists. Some of these you've probably seen before, and some I've never seen anyone include in a video. So without wasting any time, let's begin. In episode 7, when Jax starts to panic, we get these flashes of the real world, and if you pause on them, there are very specific details that lead to a really disturbing theory. Of course, we don't know if Gooseworks put them there to mislead us, or if they're actually important to the story. But let me go through them. One of the frames shows someone driving through a neighborhood at night, and on the side of the road, there's a speed limit sign that says 20 miles per hour, with another sign right next to it that says, "Children at play." In another flash, there's a bright light in the distance. They could be headlights from another car, or a street light. The theory is that Jax was driving too fast through a residential area, and he hit someone. Probably a child based on the signs in the frame. And when you connect that to everything else about Jax, it starts making a lot of sense. His room in the circus is covered in rainbows and bright pink decorations and soft colors that look like a little girl decorated it. His avatar is a purple rabbit that looks like a children's plush toy, the kind of stuffed animal a kid would carry around. If Jax hit a little girl and the girl had a plush rabbit nearby or was holding one, then his avatar in the circus became that rabbit as a constant reminder of what he did. After the accident, Jax didn't stay to help and he didn't call anyone. He just left the scene. And the theory is that he ended up running through a cornfield to avoid being seen, which is why he panics every time he sees corn in the circus, because it reminds him of that night running through the field in the dark, trying to get away from what he did. And that's also why, when we asked Michael Kovac what Jax's worst nightmare is, he said, getting lost in a corn maze. Now I know Jax said he was afraid of corn because of trypophobia, but it could just be a lie, and the cornfield theory honestly makes more sense. So he ran away, and eventually he found an abandoned CNA building with a VR headset inside, and he put it on. Gooseworks confirmed that Jax is suicidal, and when you think about his situation, it makes sense, because he's stuck between two impossible options. If he stays in the circus, he's trapped forever in a place that tortures him with reminders of the accident every day. If he leaves, he goes back to a world where he's facing prison for vehicular manslaughter and hit and run, and a life that's basically over. And when he had the chance to leave in episode 7, he pressed the red button to stay without hesitating, because whatever is waiting for him outside is worse than anything the circus can do to him. There's another version of the car accident theory that gets even sadder for him. Some fans think Jax didn't just hit someone and run away. They think he crashed too, and his body in the real world is so badly damaged that being connected to the VR headset is the only thing keeping him alive. Abel revealed in episode 7 that CNA was keeping people in stasis pods, maintaining their bodies while their minds were inside the circus. And if Jax's body is in one of those pods on some kind of life support, then leaving the circus just means he dies. And there's a detail that supports this. Jax almost never opens his mouth when he talks in the circus, and the theory is that this reflects what's happening to his real body. If his lungs were damaged in the crash, and he's on a breathing apparatus in the real world, then his avatar mirrors that limitation. He can't open his mouth in the circus because in reality, his body can't breathe on its own anymore. Jax spent the entire show treating the circus like it wasn't real. He calls people characters, he calls them playthings. He tells Pomni in episode 6 that everyone in the circus is there for his entertainment. He throws Ragatha into a deep fryer even though they feel pain in the circus. He abandons Kaufmo's abstracted body without looking back. He tells Pomni their friendship was fake after spending an entire episode bonding with her. Everything Jax does makes sense if you understand that in his head, none of it is actually happening to real people, and nothing he does has any real consequences, because the circus is just a cartoon, and the people in it are just characters. That's his coping mechanism. As long as he can convince himself that none of it matters, then he doesn't have to face any of it. And he is the only character who actively participates in every single adventure Kane creates. The rest of the cast complains or drags their feet, but Jax is always the first one in. He takes a leadership role and treats every adventure like a game he needs to win. As long as there's an adventure running, Jax has something to focus on. Without the adventures, he's just a guy in a colorful tent, sitting across from the doors of two dead friends with nothing to distract him. And then Kinger tells everyone in episode 8 that the circus is real, and the people in it are real humans just like him. Jax walks to the staircase and grabs the railing and says,
"Oh my god, this is real."
Ribbit and Kaufmo were real people, and whatever he did to them, he did to actual people. Which means the cartoon excuse he's been hiding behind for years doesn't work anymore. In episode 6, Ragatha points at Jax and tells him,
I know exactly what you're doing with Pomni, and it'll never work!
Huh?
You know, getting close with Pomni to corrupt her.
She says corrupt, a word that implies Jax doesn't just damage people emotionally, but alters them completely. And she says it'll never work, like she's already seen this happen before with someone else, and she knows where it leads. In episode 8, Kinger reveals that every player in the circus has the same conjuring abilities as Kane, and they just need to focus to use them. And at the end of episode 7, Kinger implies that Kane caused Scratch's abstraction by messing with his mind, which confirms that abstraction can be triggered by someone else, and not just by the person breaking down on their own. If the players have the same powers as Kane, and those powers include the ability to affect other people's minds, then a player could accidentally trigger someone else's abstraction without knowing what they were doing. Jax was Ribbit's best friend, and Ribbit abstracted. Jax was Kaufmo's friend, and Kaufmo abstracted. Before Ribbit abstracted, there was one last good moment between the three of them, the snow adventure, where Jax, Ribbit, and Kaufmo went on a trip together, and the photo in Jax's room shows them smiling. But something happened after that adventure, because Jax and Ribbit had a massive argument. And we think that at that exact moment, Jax used the powers of the circus to make Ribbit go insane or abstract the same way Kane did to Scratch. But Jax had no idea what he was doing, and now he just thinks everyone around him abstracts, so he pushes everyone away. That's why he pushes Pomni away in episode 6 right after the best day they spent together, and then stares at his own hand like it did something before. And in episode 8, at 1648, you can see Ribbit's shadow in the upper right corner of the cafe, even though she isn't there, because Jax is remembering the snow adventure and their last good moment together. Jax's mind has been cracking since episode 6. The bathroom breakdown, the almost abstraction in episode 7, the staircase scene in episode 8 where he realizes everything is real. By the end of episode 8, Jax finally begins to break down. Kane is dead, and the circus has nobody running it. A popular theory says that someone has to replace Kane, and most people think it's going to be Jax, and there are a lot of hints. The trailer thumbnail has red and blue light washing over his face, exactly like Kane during his breakdown in episode 8. During Kane's song in episode 8, Kane dealt cards to each player and handed Jax a star. And on the office door, the star symbol is red, which is the stay color. The episode 9 poster is covered in giant Jax heads, and everything in the marketing seems to show Jax in control of everything. And the very first shot of the trailer is Jax standing face to face with Kinger saying, "Now we have nothing." Because from Jax's perspective, Kinger just took away everything they had, and he could be mad at every single person in the circus. First, Kinger, obviously, but also Pomni and everyone else who let Kinger, the crazy one, deal with Kane. Jax could decide on the spot that if there's no Kane to run the circus, then he'll do it himself. He called the cast his playthings in episode 6, and told Pomni he controls them for his own entertainment. And Pomni called him the villain in episode 6, and he got offended and said, "No, I'm the funny one. I screw with people, and I break the fourth wall." So Jax becoming the villain in episode 9 is probably the most straightforward theory. There's a popular theory in the fandom that says Jax pushes Kinger into the void at some point during episode 9. Kinger is the one who deleted Kane. Kinger is the one who knows more about the circus than anyone else. And Kinger is the one who just told everyone that the circus is real. These revelations broke Jax, and in the trailer, we barely see Kinger at all. And we think it's intentional from Glitch, to make people believe something terrible happens to him early in the episode. But it could really be the way episode 9 goes, with Jax pushing Kinger into the void at the beginning. He already chose to stay and keep everyone in the circus in episode 7. His card had the star symbol, which meant stay. And in this shot from episode 6, he's on the red side while Pomni is on the blue side. Everything is telling us Jax doesn't want to leave, and doesn't want anyone else to leave either. So pushing Kinger into the void could be his way of getting rid of the only person who could lead them to the outside world.